Chris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic's from Jim Harris. I read a story on Variety that both Matt Damon and Christian Bale are being pushed for Best Lead Actor for the Academy Awards. Forget my ignorance, but I didn't think two actors could be considered for lead. Do you think there's an actual chance they could end up with a nomination? So do we think both of them are going to get nominated? And is that a usual thing that can happen too?
Well, okay, first of all, are we going to see Damon and Bale nominated for Best Lead Actor? I haven't seen the movie. I simply cannot say.
Right.
I do know that the studio is thrilled with both of their performances. So there's that. So that's good, but I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say whether they can. It has constantly been, though, Rob, a massive misunderstanding that some people believe that you're not allowed to have two actors nominated for Best Lead Actor or Best Lead Actress or whatever in a single movie. That is simply not true.
Right.
Now, I remember this whole thing came up. I remember when Christian Bale won his Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for the movie he did with Mark Wahlberg, The Fighter. I believe that was the name that he did with Wahlberg. And I actually protested that. Oh, really? A YouTuber protested something about the Academy Awards? Go figure. I actually protested that because I watched that movie. Christian Bale was not a supporting actor in that film. He was a lead actor in that film. And even then people saying, but John, I mean, Mark Wahlberg, they're pushing Mark Wahlberg. You can't have two guys up for lead actor in the same thing. That is simply not true because you can. As a matter of fact, it has happened many, many times. And it should happen more, Rob, because to me, this highlights a major problem in the Academy Awards, which is there should be criteria that the Academy comes up with themselves that determines whether a performance is a lead actor performance or a supporting actor performance. You don't, as things stand, they let the studios decide whether somebody was a lead. That's BS, and it undermines the integrity of the Academy Awards. Now, there are other things that undermine the integrity of the Academy, but this is one that is easily fixable. The Academy Awards don't allow a filmmaker to tell them whether their film is a regular motion picture or a documentary. The Academy has rules for that. The Academy doesn't let a filmmaker tell them whether their film is a short film or a feature-length film. They have rules. If you come within this amount of time, you're a short film. If you come within this amount of time, you're a feature, blah, blah. They have rules for it. They determine what it is, except for when it comes to the acting categories. They just let the studios tell them, regardless of common sense, we want this person to be up for supporting actor, but they weren't a supporting actor. Yeah, I know, but we feel like they've got a chance in the supporting actor category, and we don't feel like they have a chance in the lead actor category. And by the way, that year with Christian Bale in The Fighter, he should have been put up for Best Lead Actor, but they knew that, from Kingsman and The King's Speech.
Colin Firth.
Colin Firth. Colin Firth was up that year for The King's Speech, and they knew Christian Bale had no chance in hell of winning Best Lead Actor when Colin Firth was in the running for King's Speech because that performance was mind-blowing. So what they do, they said, he's a supporting actor. Yeah, sure. Anyway, really interesting article on this from our friends over at Deadline. I want to read this at length. It really highlights the stupidity of the situation. Al Pacino in The Irishman, Anthony Hopkins in The Two Popes, Tom Hanks in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and even Jamie Foxx in Just Mercy are among those fighting it out for a slot in the uber-competitive supporting actor category, full of major names. And, as indicated above, past Best Actor nominee Brad Pitt is also considered a front-runner for Best Supporting, being campaigned for support so as to not face fellow above-the-line co-star Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, anybody who's seen that movie knows Brad Pitt is every much the lead actor of that film as Leonardo DiCaprio is. But they just don't want to put them up against each other. Just as Hopkins, Hanks, Pacino, and Fox are doing, with their respective co-stars, Jonathan Pryce, Matthew Rhys, Robert De Niro, and Michael B. Jordan being pushed alone for the lead category. It has already been announced that for the two-hander, The Lighthouse, that Robert Pattinson will be pushed for lead, while equal co-star Willem Dafoe will be pushed for supporting actor. Number one, Rob, I think hey, look, if they've got this much belief in both of these guys, and they think their performance is that great, it's awesome that they're going to promote them both for Best Lead Actor. That's fantastic. So not only do I think that's great, I think this situation highlights an existing and ongoing problem with the Academy. They need to fix this. The Academy needs to establish, if there's ever any question about whether a performance is lead or supporting, they should have a committee that says that was a supporting performance. They should set out some rules and guidelines that dictate if this is the situation, that's a lead performance. And if it ever comes into question, send it to a board that makes that determination. It should not be up to them, because here's why. That year, Christian Bale won for Best Supporting Actor when he very easily was supposed to be running in the Best Lead Actor category. Because he got bumped down there, Andrew Garfield, who I believe should have been a front runner for Best Supporting Actor that year for The Social Network, he didn't even get a nomination. Because even though he was a legit supporting actor in Social Network, he got his spot taken away from him from somebody who should have been registered in the lead acting category. Anyway, I'm thrilled that they're doing this for this movie. I wish more would do it. Rob, how do you see this whole thing?
Well, look, I think if you have two actors from the same film, both as leads, they cancel each other out in terms of votes. You could get the greatest performance in the world, but when you're looking at two actors that are in the same movie, are their performances based on bouncing their performance off the other lead actor? And it just seems to me like like you said, I think the Academy should come up with more of a distinct criteria for this. Even if it's about how long somebody appears on screen, it's never equal. There's always somebody who's there a little bit more than the other person. But with the studios pushing both actors, I really do think it causes, within the voting membership of the Academy, a problem, because knowing your vote will probably be split between Bale or Matt Damon, do you just save your vote for somebody else and not vote for either one of them? And what it really should come down to is honoring the performance itself. What is the best leading actor or leading actress performance? That's really what it comes down to. And yet there's as much politics involved, and who's going to do the campaigning, and who's going to do this or who's going to do that. And I think the performance and the achievement of the performance gets lost some of the time in Oscar season. And really, you know, when you see like a Daniel Day-Lewis in The Phantom Thread, it's not the performance he gave in There Will Be Blood, but still an amazing performance. And it's I don't know, man. It's hard to say. I mean, all of this deciding seems less about the performance itself and more about studio politicking and glory, and that's fine. But does it really serve the idea and the spirit of what these awards are for?
Yeah, and that's why I think you take you take a significant amount, maybe not all of it, you take a good amount of the politics out of it when you just have the Academy say, this is the criteria.
Right. And
either your guy falls into that criteria or he doesn't.
I agree with that.
You don't get to decide. We get to decide. We're the Academy. Anyway, that's what's going on here. First of all, yes, they are allowed to both be nominated. Whether they should be, I don't know, because I haven't seen the movie yet. But this is what should happen. If they are two legit leads, they should both get pushed for leads. I mean, that's how I feel about it. Question is, guys, how do you feel about that whole situation? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts.